morning to everyone who's joined us here, everyone who regularly joins us on Facebook, and those who just may have stumbled on us just through their, flitting around the internet. We welcome you on this 5th Sunday of Epiphany. I've lit a little candle over here to the side. Sometimes our Christ lights stand alone from the community and from a larger community of believers. And maybe that's to the detriment of the community, because we will shine brighter and we will be able to do more if we join together. So, there was a sea captain who was at the bottom, at the top of his profession, and he had earned a reputation as one who could make excellent decisions in times of crises. People did notice, though, that just before it was time to give his orders to the crews, he would go down to his stateroom, open his safe, and pull out a little slip of paper and read it. And then he would stride up on deck, and he would make the right call. Naturally, curiosity was high, and it was no surprise that when he died, one of the first things the crew did after his funeral service was to gather in his stateroom and watch while the first mate opened the safe and pulled out the well-worn slip of paper. And he read it aloud, and it said, "Port left, starboard right." In difficult times, the captain knew to remind himself repeatedly of the basics. The captain's little slip of paper held information that he and others already knew, but at the worst times, he wanted to remind himself of this basic foundation on which his ability to act was founded, just for sure. So we too have such a foundation, and it is probably a good idea to remind ourselves of him daily, not just when things are at their worst. So let us prepare for that today as we sing. Before snow glistening on frosty fields, or as we watch icicles dripping in the sunlight.
To worship is to sing along with the singing beauty of the earth.
To worship is also to stand beside each other, young and older, happy and distressed.
To sing, to pray, to pause, to be silent and receptive.
So let us sing. Stand and sing.
Oh, my soul praise Him at all
sounds of celebration and sadness, and in the quiet of our hearts, we feel your presence. In the faces of children, in the stories of elders, we hear your words. Bless us in our learning, our loving, and our care, that we might give thanks to you and to all people in all that we say and do, and as we sing in one voice. If you'd just like to grab the hymn book in front of you. Mine's holding up this, mine's holding up the computer.
There's two more back on the chair.
Is there? Oh. One day we'll probably have more up here than down there. If you'll turn to page 868, Psalm 147 on 868, and we're going to sing part one. Part one. And Norma, you can play it through once for us, and then we'll sing it once, and then we'll be off. Sing to God in praise and thanksgiving. How good it is to sing praises to God. How pleasant to God the Most High. You are building Jerusalem, O God, and gathering the scattered exiles of Israel. You are healing the brokenhearted and binding up their wounds. You count the number of stars, and you call them all by their names. Great are you, O God, and mighty your power. Yes, and your wisdom is infinite. You raise up the lowly, and bring down the wicked to dust. Sing to God in great thanksgiving. Sing to God in thanksgiving. Make music on the harp to our God. Who covers the sky with clouds, who prepares rain for the earth, who makes the hills green with grass. You give the cattle their food and the young ravens when they cry. You set no store by the power of a horse, nor by the strength of a warrior's thighs. But your delight is in those who revere you, in those who rely on your mercy. Sing to God in great thanksgiving. Does anyone remember the children's book, Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day? Yeah, see some nods. I wanted to read it so badly, but copyright might put us in jail. Somebody might sue us. Our bank account would be down to zero. So I'm just going to give you a couple of lines, and I think this will pass copyright. At breakfast, Anthony found a Corvette Stingray car kit in his breakfast cereal box, and Nick found a junior undercover agent code ring in his breakfast cereal box, and in mine all I found was breakfast cereal. I think I'll move to Australia. In the carpool, Mrs. Gibson let Becky have a seat by the window. Audrey and Elliot got seats by the window too. I said I was being scrunched. I said I was being smushed. I said that if I didn't get a seat by the window, I was going to be car sick. No one answered me. I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. I'm going to Australia. You get the drift. And it just got worse as the day went on. And the book goes on until finally Alexander's mom says, some days are like that, even in Australia. All of us, there we go. All of us have had bad days, maybe even weeks. Let's not go into the months or years. Big or little things can set us off, and the ball keeps rolling. The newspaper didn't come. You got a stain on your best outfit. The washing machine ate a sock. You forgot an ingredient in your cake. The alternator gave out on the car just when you had a very important appointment to get to. You were so looking forward to that pizza that you ordered and it tasted like cardboard. You wanted to read hay, but it was too wet. The book you wanted was already checked out in the library and the cat puked on your bed. Everything is going wrong. And that would just be on Monday. In reality, any of those things could be quickly fixed. And we could laugh through them if we could just find our sense of humor. But at that moment, many of us might think that we were having a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. And like Alexander, we might want to get away from it all. It might be something as simply going for a coffee at Tim Hortons, especially to eat one of their retro donuts. A few getaway hours, maybe with a friend. A trip to Costco in Sudbury. Then there's also the option of a weekend away at a resort if you're getting really bad. A trip to Toronto to do something unique that you haven't done for a while. Go to a play, a symphony, special event. Whatever we need to restore our mental health, get out of our doldrums, lift us up out of our sadness. And these are great fixes, of course. Perhaps just what we need to do the trick. But sometimes there's something more that we need. None of us want to remain sad or fall back into sadness when the fun day is over. So why not look to today's song for that reassurance that's there? Do you remember the verse? God heals people with broken hearts and bandages their wounds. Maybe we just need to trust that guarantee, because it will be tested. There will be times when our hearts will be broken, times when others will have hurt us in unimaginable ways, and the future will look bleak. Our spirits will have hit rock bottom, and as a result, we are having a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. And the only way we can get out of it in a lasting way is with our relationship with God, if it's a solid, reciprocal one. Only then, when we're in a covenantal conversation, can we move on with new hearts, wounds healed, and futures that are filled with new hopes and dreams. You know, even on the darkest night, when the clouds cover the sky and we can't see the stars, we know that they're still there. In the same way, God is always there. We just need to spend quality time with Him. Let's sing. was a good piece on CBC Radio last Wednesday, and it was about a father, a husband, who after feeling unwell for a while was finally determined to have a brain tumor. He was quickly losing his ability to do the things that were most important to him. The family was told that there wasn't much that could be done for him, but they would not rest. They did their research and finally came up with a medication that was available in Ireland, but not Canada. It was proving very helpful to prolonging lives. Long story short, it took a while still to arrange to have it shipped here, but it finally came. But only due to his children seeking out the best possible options for their dad. This is what we would all want to do. And I think it's what Simon did for his mother-in-law. He got the healer who had just proved himself to come to the aid of his family member. Let's listen to the story.
Good morning, everyone. So Mark 1, 29 to 39. As soon as they left the synagogue, they entered the house of Simon and Andrew with James and John. Now Simon's mother-in-law was in bed with a fever, and they told him about her at once. He came and took her by the hand and lifted her up. Then the fever left her, and she began to serve them. That evening at sunset, they brought to him all who were sick or possessed with demons, and the whole city was gathered around the door. And he cured many who were sick with various diseases and cast out many demons. And he would not permit the demons to speak because they knew him. In the morning, while it was still very dark, he got up and went out to a deserted place, and there he prayed. And Simon and his companions hunted for him. When they found him, they said to him, "Everyone is searching for you." He answered, "Let us go on to the neighboring towns so that I may proclaim the message there also, for that is what I came here to do." And he went throughout Galilee, proclaiming the message in their synagogues and casting out demons. May this healing story remind us of the many ways that healing happens in both body and spirit.
Verse 35 there at the end presents a challenge for me. It goes, in the morning, while it was still very dark, Jesus got up and went out to a deserted place where he prayed. I cannot honestly say that I want to join Jesus in this episode in his ministry. I do not get up in the dark to go outside to find a deserted place. With my head buried under my covers, it is as dark and deserted as I need it to be. I can pray in bed, thank you very much. But I realize that Jesus likely did not have the luxury of being alone that day. He was in Simon's house with all of his family, who were now celebrating his mom's return to health. And when the news of that success got out, those from near and far who were sick also came. And the whole city was gathered around the door, and he diagnosed and cured many sick with various diseases. Some may have had even more than one ailment per person. I wonder if Jesus held his cures to one per person. We can imagine, "Oh Jesus, my eye hurts, my back is aching, my head is spinning." And they came one after another like that. And he casts out not one, but a few, but even many more demons. Dozens of people plagued with emotional, psychological, and physical problems coming and dumping their troubles on Jesus. And Jesus deals one-on-one with the root cause of all the unhealthiness in the whole city. So by the end of the day, there may have still been a lot of people. Peter's family, the disciples, perhaps their families, and maybe even some hangers-on who had witnessed these healings. And it was likely a very cramped house with everybody intruding into each other's personal space as they sought a comfortable place to sleep. So I can imagine him tiptoeing between bodies, trying not to wake anyone just before the first light arrived. After the previous busy day, I can see how he might have wanted to prepare himself mentally for another. It would be draining to have so many people pleading for your help. Remember the story of the woman who had been hemorrhaging for 12 years? And when she touched Jesus' cloak and was healed, we're told that he was immediately aware that power had gone forth from him. Bringing people back to wholeness can be physically and mentally draining. And I can see Jesus needing some downtime to regroup. He was possibly burnt out. I wonder, is the reason he got up early in the morning while it was still dark was really because he couldn't have slept at all? We've all had those days when our work snowballs, and the more we do, the more it seems that there's yet to be done. And we get so wired up that we can't get wired down and rest. In our bed, our legs twitch, and we remain bug-eyed even while we try to count imaginary sheep. The trouble is we try, even before we begin to count them, to establish, well, what kind were they? Are they pregnant? Are they going to jump over fences? Or are they going to be herded by dogs, as they did in the past? Anyway, Jesus had to slip away to a quiet place to focus on regenerating his power, to connect with the source of all life and healing and strength. And he had to do it so that he could start again in the next town to proclaim that message. And so he slipped away to a deserted place without human crowds or multitudes. But what made this place he found deserted? What made it empty? Was it an abandoned place? It couldn't have been too far away from the maddening crowd because Simon and his cohorts found Jesus. I wonder if he had enough time alone, or did he groan when he heard their call, sort of like that phone ringing, or that little ping on your iPad saying text message, text message. And did he pray, please God, give me 5 more minutes alone? You know how it feels. Today, it's nearly impossible to find a deserted place, at least without spending your life or your life savings to get there. And most of those places like that are out of our league. The best we can do is to don a pair of those gaming, what are they called? Those thingies.
Noise canceling.
No, those things. Yeah, don one of those. Yeah, and go to some place in the far away, Yeah. That'd be nice. Yeah. We try, though. How many of you have sought out that deserted place in the early dawn before the kids or the spouse or the cows have risen? Just you and a cup of coffee? All alone? Except for God, of course. Because the first thing, of course, that any of us does as soon as we rise is to give thanks for the precious gift of another day, or the fact that our feet have actually hit the ground. But sitting there in the kitchen, let's say, is it as deserted as we think? Not really. There's a sound of the clock ticking, reminding us that time is of the essence. There's the hum of the refrigerator, a sign of the abundance that God has given us. Or maybe the cat or the dog crunching on their food, and we are reminded of their faithful companionship. The definition of deserted means to be empty, abandoned, or forsaken. Most rooms in our houses don't fit that description. Even in the barn, in the middle of the night, it won't be quiet. It's the rustle of the straw as a cow shifts, scampering mice or cats chasing them, or the howl of a coyote. Can we truly think of any place we've known that has been abandoned or forsaken? I can imagine arriving at a secluded lake. The fall colors are magnificent. I just want some quiet time to myself to think about what I'm doing, if it's meaningful, if it fits in with God's plans for me. And I unload my kayak and supplies and paddle quietly, leaving any sign of civilization behind. After a while, having not seen a soul, I think I've found that deserted place, and then a gunshot breaks the silence. And the impending death of some of God's creatures intrudes on my mind and my space and my peace. You've heard the riddle, if a tree falls in the woods and there's no one around to hear it, does it make a sound? No. Now the answer to that question really shouldn't be of any concern to us. It's the question that should, because it presupposes that there's no life in the woods. What made that tree fall? Maybe it was termites. They heard the fall. Or the blue jay or the squirrel it frightened as it crashed to the ground. Is human life the only life that's valued? Of course not. The challenge becomes to find the place of solitude. That place does not have to be in some remote location. It can be in your kitchen while everyone is asleep or otherwise occupied. It can be a stationary bike in your basement or at your health club. It can be that you take that early morning walk around the ice rink at the arena or at Cap Kigawan. It can be on a tractor at the first or last light of day as the light wanes. These are the places where you and I can have a conversation with God in our heads, or maybe even aloud, but I guarantee you no one will bother you if you talk to God out loud. They'll give you a wide berth. They might even make your space even more secluded. So here's what I think we need to do. First, it's important to make time in your day. Then we find a physical space. With these things, then the spiritual space will follow, though this may be the hardest to find. There was a young girl who had 8 siblings. You can imagine what their family home must have been like. Flurry of activity, continual sounds. In the summertime, there would be the drone of the lawnmower. In the winter, the kids yelling as they played out in the street. In the fall, the sounds of them playing in a pile of leaves. Television would be blaring inside on the first floor. Someone upstairs would be playing their stereo. The washing machine would be making the odd sounds from the basement. Someone in the kitchen would be washing the dishes, listening to the radio. It's a wonder that this young girl got any studying done. But she said, "You always hear about people who have tuned out. Well, I'm an example." She said, "I just know how to block out all that noise and hear what I need to hear." And she said, "That's the sound of my math teacher explaining those proofs and theorems so that I can get through geometry." Good for her. She's found something that's going to last her throughout her life. Back in the First Testament, we hear how Elijah was told to go up on the mountain and wait for God. After experiencing a great wind, an earthquake, and a fire, then there came the sheer silence. It was then that he met God. Sheer silence. That's something that we may have to seek out like Elijah or like the young girl. What is sheer silence? Because we know it really doesn't exist, but it can be simulated. And there's something called, and somebody correct me now, anectonic. Is that how you say it, Don? Shake your head, yeah, please. It's a chamber, and it's been built to cut out all sound. It prevents even echoes of sound made inside it. So there's total silence. And that's what we're saying, that Jesus found out, this place of peace and quiet. And he probably did find it, because he was at one with God and in perfect communication with God alone. But we're not like him in that way. For many of us, the sound of silence is not silence at all. The silence that we hear is not the absence of people, but rather that there is no one to care. That there's no one to laugh with us. That there's no one to cry for us. It is in this kind of silence that we confront our demons, and we are uncomfortable. So we fill up the silence with the clacking of keyboards, the working later hours, the sound of tinkling bottles, the shouts of cheering crowds, the clatter or the chatter of our children or grandchildren. But for us, as for Elijah, the answer isn't found in the fire of noisiness, nor in the whirlwind of activity in the fast lane. The answer to Elijah comes in the silence. Healing comes for Jesus in stepping away to a quiet place. So where's our mountaintop? Have we staked out our spot? If not, then we need to. And once we do, keep a stash there. Maybe it's a Bible, maybe it's a book of blessings, maybe it's a journal, maybe it's a list of the things that are bothering us, but also a list of our blessings, our own prayers. Maybe it's just a little scrap of paper with some words of wisdom that we've written on it while we've watched the TV or surfed the internet. I have loads of them on my desk, little tiny pieces of paper. I keep saying I'm going to compile them. Some of them find their way out onto the sign out here. Are we praying in deserted places? Likely not. Even in that chamber, true perfect silence isn't achieved. Some people who have been in one say that after a while they have been able to hear their own heartbeats and respirations. And if the Divine One promises to be with us always, then no place is deserted. Instead, think of the place that you have chosen as an oasis time. Use it to connect with the one that gave you life and who sustains you daily. The one who came down to live as one of us, to show us the way, and who connects with us in so many ways that we have to slow down just to catch a few of them. Take time to slow down just for a few minutes a day. Recognize in your breathing, in your feeling, in your knowing, the presence, the spark of the divine. And then fan it back into full radiance each and every day in Christ's name. So now in shared quietness, let's listen to the wisdom of our inner hearts and minds as we join in this prayer of confession. Let us give thanks for our personal journeys, sometimes long and hard journeys. We seek forgiveness for the times when our fears have outweighed our love. Let us seek forgiveness for the times when we have not offered to help another heal from their wounds. Let us seek forgiveness for times when we have failed to take time to refresh our flagging spirits, our waning commitment, to banish our self-centeredness. Let us remember in silence and wonder, but know that we are forgiven. Amen. And let us sing.
I only know
We are here that we might have life and have it more abundantly so that we can share it then with others. So these gifts in our lives enable us to be generous people. So let us gather up what we have generously brought to you. May these gifts be the means by which many persons come alive.
The sick receive wholeness, the bereaved receive comfort, the downtrodden find a common purpose,
And the
refugee finds a home.
Your gifts will be truly blessed as you go with them to bring life.
God be praised. Amen.
As with anything, there's always a lot going on and plans sometimes need to be changed. Dorothy, when we chose, you were there when we chose this date.
That's fine,
Is that fine?
sure,
Okay.
if everybody brings in the report.
Yes, and everybody needs to bring in their reports for Dorothy, and now she's given a whole extra week, so this is good. Okay, there's lunch after this service, and we need to thank Doug and Judy for the chili luncheon and those who have brought dessert. The Christian Women's Group will be meeting on Wednesday. Great, Jean? Yeah, shake your head, okay, this is good.
It is.
And as always, I'm going to make them do a craft, which is going to connect us with those who aren't here with us, especially those who live farther away, but we want them to know that they're still part of our family. So, there's a thank you letter here from the Rotary Club for our donations to their baskets and describing all that they do. And so they're hoping to continue it for years to come. We want to thank Randy, who's been active in his church this week. He and Norm, I think the two of them just live here. Just live around. If you ever find mattresses now on the front porch, it's theirs, do not intrude. Yeah, so there's been a lot going on up there, obviously, and please let Randy know how that's been for you. Like, big, you know, Janie, who's one of the people who joins us from afar, she was saying that, yeah, she wanted things turned a little bit, and so she could see the screen. I don't know if I've got the cameras done so that I think she can, but that will help her and anybody else who watches.
Well, they only watch it, they watch today's service next
Right.
Sunday morning at breakfast, so she'll let me know.
Yeah, yes, it'll be next week. Now Randy also has great ideas for live streaming, and so that'll even be another step for us. So, anyway, I think exciting. Is there anything else we need to share? I don't know.
There's a couple of books in at the library for the book.
Oh, okay, so there's a couple of books in.
Yeah, so she has all the names, so if you go in and give her your name.
Yeah, just give her your name, give her any name. Take a book.
She probably wants more than that, I suspect, like a phone number or a social.
Yeah,
Yeah, your social security.
just cry. Just cry. Crying always helps. Yeah. Anyway,
She ordered 6.
she ordered 6.
2
2 are in.
and I returned 1, and you own 1.
Yep.
So,
So, yep. The road ends. Yep. Okay, nothing else. Nothing else? There's a wonderful Hasidic story about the child of a rabbi. They used to wander in the woods. And at first his father let him wander. But over time he became a little concerned. The woods were dangerous, and the father didn't know what lurked there. So he decided to discuss the matter with his child. And one day he took him aside and he said, "You know, I've noticed that each day you walk into the woods, and I wonder why you go there." And the boy said to his father, "Well, I go there to find God." "That's a very good thing," the father replied gently. "I'm glad you're searching for God. But my child, don't you know that God is the same everywhere?" "Yes," the boy answered, "but I'm not." Like the boy, our needs differ on any given day. Unfortunately, we are here, enclosed by 4 walls, and perhaps this is not the place best for where we are today in our heads and our hearts to connect with your Creator. So maybe use your imaginations. Just take a few moments to picture that place where you can see that best happening, that connection with God. Just take a few moments. Ever-present God, there's no escaping you. There's no escaping the wonder of your creation. Give us the movement of your Spirit within us that we can and will make time and space in our day for you. You who's the giver of all time and all space. Hear our prayers, then quieten us enough to listen. Give us strength to tune out the signals that jam your voice and distort our reception. And then speak to us. Help us then to speak in living echoes as the hymn commands of your voice. Help us to live as you would have us, flickering flames or blazing bonfires, relaying the messages Jesus came to share with us. Bless all our endeavors as one of your faithful communities. God, we're aware that there are those who did not join us today. We may not know why, or are even reluctant to ask, but you know. If there are conflicts between members of this family, let there be open minds and hearts, allowing healing words between them. If faith is waning, may your Spirit shepherd them back to the fold. If there are health issues, we pray that you may give them the strength to wait until wholeness is returned. And if that's not possible in body, may you keep them close in your comforting embrace and spirit. We pray especially for Arnold on his move to the nursing home in New Liskard. We also keep in our thoughts Brett, Judy's grandson, Betty's son, as he recovers in hospital. May the medical community caring for him bring him back to health. And we add ourselves to that list. We who often hide the things that bother us, cause us to worry, upset the rhythm in our lives. From the palm of your hand, where you compassionately hold us and protect us, we turn to you for the care we need. These things we hold up to you for the sake of your love and care. Amen. And let us stand and sing. Let's go out into the world with enough joy and love to make our contemporary demons slink back to hell. And along the way, may God bless the treading of our feet wherever they take us. May Christ bless the seeing in our eyes, whatever they fall on. And may the Spirit bless the serving of our hands and whomever we serve. Just a couple of things to ponder on. The emotion that can break your heart is sometimes the very one that heals it. And listen to God with a broken heart. He is the only doctor. He is not the only doctor who mends it, but also the Father who wipes away the tears. So, a little deep.